All right, welcome. Thank you, everybody. We had a busy weekend. The Alabama Beavers shut out up one. Surprise to nobody really. Um, really, not a lot really going on. Shout out Richie Murphy winning TAL Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks after being cut by the Claire Axeman. We're gonna dive into that because that's a pretty heavy topic. I think that's something we need to discuss. I know there's a lot of speculation around the AF1. Shout out to Sam Casanova. Also shout out to Tyler Kolka. Played incredible football. I don't think he had a single moment this year to where he looked like he just wasn't playing good. Uh, but there's not really much to dive into on the IFA side because, let's face it, Up One's not a real opponent. I made a little joke on Instagram saying if Up One won, I start World War III. It would I could because it like they would never win, bro. They had like 15 players on the team. They would have never won. And they're not even that. They had if it was a 40-40 game, it's still going to be the exact same score, same size of the rosters. Anyway, Richie Murphy wins TAL Defensive Player of the Week, recording 10 tackles or 11 tackles, and 1.5 sacks, and a few pass breakups. Overall, played an incredible game just a few weeks after being cut by the Claire Axeman. Now, the fun part about this whole landscape or this whole thing with him, it's it didn't make sense for Claire to cut him. He has a large social media following. He has a very big impact on the field as well. Didn't get a lot of playing time, and then they just cut him for no reason, for really no reason. And after he gets cut, after all this happens, he's like, "Oh, my career's done. This, that. Same old. And then a couple weeks later, the Duluth Harbor Monster reach out and they sign him. Now, the guy who helps, assistant general manager for the Claire Axeman is also in the organization for the Wheeling Miners. That's why there's a partnership deal. The Wheeling Miners destroyed the AAL2 for decades, or however long they played. They're a well-run organization. Duluth is a well-run organization. You're not going to get better than that ever or at all. Honestly, I was very lost out of words when I found out this happened. This kind of stuff was happening. I was lost out of words. It didn't make sense to cut him. And it made so much sense for Duluth to sign him. There are still other guys out there who have just as big as a social media following as he does who can get signed. We saw a very similar thing over in Carolina with the Cobras. Also, Murphy's also on training camp with that team, and he got the offer in Claire. So we saw something similar over there. Now we're seeing something similar over here. Wins Defensive Player of the Week. And that's very big props to him. Very big props. Shout out Richie Murphy. I don't think he's going to watch this unless I clip it and tag him, which I think I might do. I also want to get on another side and talk about Eli Mack. And I've been hearing a lot of fans, a lot of people saying, oh, if they play Eli Mack, the Tulsa Oilers would win every game or something. I don't even know, because they got shut out 33-7. Without TJ Edwards, of course, their driving factor out in Tulsa. RIP to his injury. I don't know if he's gonna play for the rest of the season. I don't think he will. But he's rehabbing. He's gonna come back next year. He's gonna come back stronger. Possibly play in the CFL. Possibly play in the UFL. Play somewhere else because he's an incredible quarterback. Faison McClurge, of course, spent time with the Michigan Panthers before he got cut, but he went back and forth a few times. That's normal. That's very normal football. But he also made sure to stay sharp by playing in indoor. And I'm hearing fans online talk about Eli Mack, and they're just saying it's. I don't even think somebody who never played football comes into a 5-on-5 or 7-on-7 environment and doesn't get playing time. He's never played football professionally, by the way. Now we all say oh, it's indoor football. No, we can never play. We can never do this. I honestly don't think I could ever do that. I know we're seeing a lot of guys Richie Murphy, of course, I mean, we just discussed him. But we're seeing a lot of these guys, and we're saying, oh, I could do that. I could play there. I could do this spot, blah, blah, blah. No, you could not. You could not. So I'm seeing a lot of that. But speaking about like this whole landscape of quarterbacks playing somewhere else, are we going to see these dominant IFA players, these dominant IFL players, these dominant NAL players play somewhere else? Because at this point, it's like, we get it. We get it. You're really good. But it's getting annoying. It's not getting annoying watching them. I really do enjoy watching them. It's getting annoying seeing them dominate and not try to play a higher level. Because I honestly think that a lot of them are good quarterbacks. I think Sam Castronova was a great quarterback. Tyler Kolka jumped up and shocked a lot of people this year. And who's that guy in the NAL? There's a rookie of the year in the NAL. But of course, a lot of these guys are going to end up making a jump. Are we going to see them in the CFL? Are we going to see them in the UFL? Hell with it. Are we seeing them in the NFL? I feel like Sam Castronova, former Buffalo Bill, I feel like he could possibly be back in the NFL. Or I assume these guys going to play out in Europe, because we saw it quite a bit this past year where a lot of indoor guys jumped to play out overseas. Are we going to see that next year? I don't know. It's a heavy topic because we always talk about how dominant they are, but they're not trying to play at a higher level. But it's also there's part of the reason for that as well. But there's also a part where I'm like, why not? Why not? A running back out in Corpus Christi who was nominated for Offensive Rookie of the Year, Josiah King, jumped over to a higher level to play in the IFL, and he's dominating. I like that. He's got another season in the IFL, but I want to see him jump up to the CFL. I want to see him jump up to the UFL. Play out in Europe. Because why not? Why not? Some players are playing out in Europe instead of playing indoors. I don't know why. I really don't know why. A lot of players are jumping not from the indoor game. They're staying in the same league. A lot of these guys are too talented to play there as well. Like Henry Nell, I think Henry Nell, the driving factor of why Albany wins half of their games, I will not lie. He needs to play in the CF. He needs to be back in Canada, or he needs to be back in the UFL, or he needs to be in the UFL. I feel like he could be an NFL kicker too. That's the other thing. I think he'd be an NFL kicker. He needs to be in the UFL, bro. He needs to. Or you could kick in the ELF, bro, but get out of the indoor game. You're too good. He's too good to play the indoor game. I feel like that's, at some point, that's a compliment where you got to accept is like, you're too good to be playing there. And we're seeing that with him. We're really seeing that. And Henry Nell's a great kicker, great player, a great person. Shout out, much respect for him. Much, much respect. But at some point, it's like, you're too good. It's like, you got to try somewhere else. That's how I felt with Castronova, because Castronova's been doing this for the past couple years. He's too good, bro. Go play somewhere else. We saw that with Jalen Morton this year as well. Won Offensive Rookie of the Year in the AF1. You're too good. Too good, bro. I feel like at some point he's gonna end up playing in the CFL at some point. We're gonna see that, of course. We saw with a lot of other guys who played in that USFL back a couple years ago. Jalen Morton, of course, spent some time in the USFL with the Birmingham Stallions. Played an incredible season this year out in Southwest Kansas. I feel like we're gonna see him go somewhere else. Maybe play in the IFL, because the IFL it's a higher level. It's a lot higher level than that's there in the AF1. It's a very, very, very high level. So I feel like at some point we might see him out there in the IFL, or maybe even in Canada, backing somebody up. I know somebody in Canada who's been getting a lot of reps has been Chris Streveler as well. I don't want to get too off topic with that. We might talk about that a little bit later. But I've seen him getting a lot of reps out there as well. But he could have a similar role like that to where he just plays a few set downs. And it transitions well from Canada to the UFL. And then Tyler Kolka is also somebody who literally just popped out in the middle of nowhere and just balled the hell out all season long. And with Kolka, I had the chance to speak with Shane Anderson. Much love for that guy. But Anderson was talking like Coco was going to be his quarterback one. Like he wanted Coco to be his quarterback one. That's how he was talking about it. That's how much. So when I knew that Coco was coming in, there was not a doubt in my head where I was like, this guy's going to ball out. Very, very talented quarterback. Very good. Very good man off the field too. I feel like there's a lot of like clip worthy clips in this part or this factor, but huge shout out. I think I might try to have him on the show or something. But Kolka, like, oh my goodness, he's a baller. He's very, very talented. And he literally came out of nowhere. Middle of the season comes on that this cast team that didn't expect to do anything at all. Because they at first started off with Corey Curtis. And Curtis, of course, was supposed to play with the Baltimore Lightning before the whole thing happened. But they had Corey Curtis. Curtis ended up going to Tampa Bay. He gets cut. All this stuff goes on. And then they bring in Coco. Or I don't know if Coco was on the roster before that or not. But they also had a couple other guys on the roster who were supposed to play quarterback. Everybody gets cut. Everything gets shuffled around. Coco comes in. He's the guy. And he's just balled out the second he came in. And he kept his team out in games where they weren't even supposed to be in. That game against Southwest Kansas in the playoffs was incredible. They came back and they could have beat. They could have beat Albany. They really could have. But that's enough on the AF1 landscape. We might talk about a little bit EFL news, and then a couple other player signings that could possibly. ELF wrapped up week 7 this week, and only like 1 or 2 close games. Not a lot. Although the Enthroners, they've been playing a lot better. I've noticed that of lately. But the Madrid Bravos got a 57-0 win over the Hamburg Sea Devils in a game that did not seem close at all. Shout out to the Rainfire destroying the Berlin Thunder. Although the Berlin Thunder, I feel like they're an underrated 2-5 team, but shout out to the Berlin Thunder. Vienna Vikings continued their run on a 44-38 win over the Tyrol Raiders. And it's just classic football. For a lot of people who don't know, Ben Holmes, quarterback for the Vienna Vikings, was drafted to the USFL to play for the New Jersey Generals, but he got cut. And I'm going to say this. Like Cashanova, like Henry Nell, like a lot of these guys who dominate the indoor game, you gotta make a jump. There's no way you stay in the same league and just dominate. You gotta make a jump. And we're seeing that with Ben Holmes. Ben Holmes has been dominating. Reese Horn has been dominating. Both are well-known spring football players in the U.S. At some point, bro, we get it, bro. At some point, though, because like Reed Sinet, his thing with Madrid was, hey, let's try this out. Let's see what's up. Keenan Cole's same exact thing. Let's see what's up. At some point, you just got to be like, all right, I played 2 seasons here, played 3 seasons here. You were dominating. Let's try somewhere else. You know? But the deal with the ELF is also its own separate league that, separates itself from, the NFL. Like, the UFL isn't doing that. It's not its own separate league that separates itself from the the NFL. But a lot of, European players would rather play in the UFL than the ELF. Paris Musketeers also tossed on a 62-0 win over the Cologne Centurions. And at some point, bro, call it quits. Call it quits at some point. And the upset of the week, the Munich Ravens beat the Stuttgart Sage. Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say it. I don't know if that's how you say it. But in a 36-33 game-winning thriller, a lot that really happened on that game. A lot of respect out there. I know that this playoff picture right now, the Ravens got the 2 seed and the Vienna Vikings got the 1 seed. Meaning, if they just, like the playoffs start tomorrow, they win their games, they're in the championship automatically. And then the Surge and that Wave team are in the playoffs as well. And then Paris, led by Jack Del Rio, of course, is the reason why they're dominating. at that 4 seed and the Fire at the 5th seed. Personally, I don't know what goes on. I just like to talk about it because it's new to me. It's really new to me. It's harder to watch games, but I really like the ELF. But it's just new to me. I'm still catching up. I'm still learning to it. I knew about it, but I was kind of like meh. But I started watching the highlights and started learning about it. I was like, I really like this. I really do like this, and I've been keeping up with it ever since, which is like a month ago. But that's enough about the ELF. We're gonna hop onto some CFL news, and then we're gonna wrap things up to get into the next. 2 years ago, if you told me, hey, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are gonna be undefeated, I would have said no. You're wrong. That's never gonna happen. That's not happening. They're undefeated now, and that comes as a shock to me. But also, if you told me 2 years ago, oh yeah, BC is gonna start the season 0-3 with Nathan O'Rourke at the helm, I would have been like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Here we are. Here we are. McLeod Bethel Thompson got the start on Thursday, ended up losing to Bo Levi Mitchell, and or was it Friday? So it was Friday night. And the game was like, it was kind of head scratching. Not gonna lie. 35-17 loss for McLeod Bethel Thompson, getting his first one on the season. Edmonton still hasn't won a game. I don't know if that Troy Ford contract is really looking good. And MBT, of course, was a starter last year at the age of 36. The age of 36, and we're starting to see it's not his fault. It wasn't really much of his fault. And that Troy Ford contract is not really starting to look well. The one thing I will notice is a couple years ago the Toronto Argonauts gave Chad Kelly the biggest contract in CFL history, or like one of the biggest contracts in the CFL at the time, for like $1 million for a couple years. Nick Arbuckle leads the league in passing, and he's the backup quarterback. He started as the quarterback 3 last year, won the Grey Cup and everything, and now he leads the league in passing. I'm just saying, it's interesting. It's really, really interesting how the whole landscape works. It's really, really interesting. When you're a team like BC, mid-season last year, you sign Nathan Rourke because he gets cut from the Falcons. Doesn't really, not a lot really going on, and you sign him to a gigantic $500,000 contract, and he takes over for Vernon Adams. He plays good at the moment. They get in the playoffs. Blah blah blah. They're done with Vernon Adams. They trade him. He goes out somewhere else. He goes out to Calgary, and Calgary's been kind of iffy. Another loss, all of that. But you haven't even won a single game this year so far. And how much are you saying is on Nathan Rourke? Of course, hasn't really played every single snap. But it's kind of looking like some decisions. I mean, also, like, the culture, they really like him. So there's an iffy balance. Of course, I'm not the CFL expert, okay? I'm a UFL expert. I'm an NFL expert. I'm not the CFL expert. I don't know everything that's popping out in the CFL. But when you see this, you start to click in your brain. You go like, Is it really the right move? Is it really the right move? Now don't go jumping on the comments being like, you know nothing about the CFL. Stick to the IFA, stick to the UFL, stick to the NFL. I want to talk about it. I really do want to talk about it. I feel like I should cover it more and more. But does really it really doesn't scratch your head. It really makes you think. Also in Saskatchewan, running the ball, AJ Alouette has been incredible. I will say that he's been just fantastic running the ball. Really, really good. Really, really just everything's been smooth. Not a lot more to say on the CFL. I don't really I'm not the CFL expert. I'm still a casual. I'm still catching up, learning all of it. But I watched for a good minute. But that should do it for today. I got NFL content I'm trying to push out and I'm trying to work on. So keep an eye out for that. But that should do it. Anybody listen, thank you for listening this far. We'll be getting on to the next episode. Here and then. A lot was going on, so I wasn't able to really record. But I'm trying to take a lot of time out and just focus on recording. and more content should be pushed out. So be on the lookout for